Good morning, Ms. Fischer. Ma'am, you are charged with driving while intoxicated. Is elevated to a Class A misdemeanor because of the high blow. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. On December 1st, 2024, officers conducted a traffic stop on the defendant's vehicle at approximately 12:01 a.m. After observing it nearly rear end a parked vehicle.
Wait or stop! The brakes! Heat on the left! You're about to hit that car! The brakes! Hit the brakes!
On Alameda Road and failed to maintain a single lane by driving over a solid yellow line. Upon contact with the vehicle, the officer observed the defendant to be the driver and sole occupant and observed the defendant to have strong odor of an alcoholic beverage, slurred speech, and bloodshot eyes. The defendant admitted to drinking, and upon stepping out of the vehicle, the officer observed the defendant to be staggering while walking and to have poor balance. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted. HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 6 out of 8, one leg stand 3 out of 4. The DIC was read and the defendant consented to breath. The results were 0.249 and 0.229.
249.
Yes, Judge.
Any prior to the guys?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Fischer, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I don't know if you have a problem with alcohol. If you do, you better address it, because if you don't and it becomes a problem, I'm going to address it for you, and I promise you're not going to like the way that I do it. Do you understand? No alcohol from any source. Do you have a Texas driver license? Do you have liability insurance in your name?
Full coverage.
Okay, you can continue to drive, but just be careful. If you lose insurance, lose a license, you're not allowed to drive. For what it's worth, no alcohol, no illegal drugs. You have a lawyer. I will waive your appearance, so you don't have to waste your time coming to court. But stay in touch with counsel, and he'll tell you when you have to come back to court. If he tells me he can't get a hold of you because you're ducking and dodging, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. Okay. All right. I'll have you sign a receipt with Ramona. We'll get with Felicia for your bond conditions. Then you're free to go. All right. Thanks, guys. You are Jose Castillo. Mr. Castillo, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. While patrolling, the officer observed the defendant's vehicle nearly strike his own vehicle and failed to maintain a single lane despite other vehicles within the vicinity of the defendant's vehicle. The officer initiated a traffic stop and observed a moderate odor of an alcoholic beverage, slurred speech, and glossy eyes. The defendant admitted to drinking at a party. Standard field sobriety tests were then conducted. HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 6 out of 8, one leg stand 4 out of 4. The DIC was read and the defendant initially consented, but then withdrew consent. A blood search warrant was signed and executed.
Any prior DWI?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Castillo, do you have a Texas driver license?
Yes, sir.
You're not allowed to drive. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir.
You will be signing an affidavit with me today promising that you're not going to drive. I don't give a rat's behind what your excuse is. If I find you drive, I can. We'll have a contempt hearing. You'll be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time your happy ass gets into a car. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
If you want to drive, go get a license, get liability insurance. But until that point,
I apologize. He had a license. He said, yes, sir.
I say yes, sir.
you have a license.
Yeah, I say yes, sir.
You said you didn't have a
He
license.
said, yes, sir.
I said,
I heard it the same way you did, but
He said he didn't.
no, I did. I
I
said
heard,
yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Can you run his license?
It's eligible, Your Honor.
Great. Okay, you can drive. All right. I heard no.
I heard, yeah.
Or what? Don't drink. Don't use any dope.
Yes, sir.
Don't drink alcohol. Don't use illegal drugs. As long as you don't, you and I will be best friends. Don't pick up any new cases. I'm not asking much from you. You've got great counsel. Listen to them. They'll take care of you. As long as you don't pick up a new case, you don't drink, don't use illegal drugs, we'll be fine. All right.
Sir.
Maintain that license. If you lose that license because of one reason or the other, you can't drive, and they'll, tell you about it. Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court, but stay in touch with them and they'll tell you when you have to come back to court. All right.
Sir.
Just to confirm, you can drive?
Yeah, just no drugs, no alcohol, random days. So I'll have you sign a reset with Ramona. We'll have you get with Felicia for your bond conditions, then you're free to go. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Sir. Thank you.
Sorry for the scare.
Have a good day.
All right. Thanks, Fred. Good morning, Mr. Duval. Sir, you're charged with assault causing bodily injury. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. The officers was dispatched to a residence in Harris County, Texas, in response to a disturbance with a weapon. The complainant advised that she was in her home when she heard someone knocking loudly on the front door. When the complainant's husband, the witness, opened the door, he and the defendant started arguing. The complainant stepped between them to try to stop the fight, and the defendant shoved her, causing her to fall to the ground and hit her head, causing pain. The witness told the officers that when the complainant fell, the defendant called her a dumb bitch. And when the officer spoke to the defendant, he stated that he went over to the complainant's house after the complainant and the defendant's wife got into an argument. The defendant then stated that the witness chased him with a machete and a baseball bat. The officers did not find either of those items at the
Wait.
location.
Who said that?
The defendant stated the witness chased him, but the officers did not find this.
Okay. Do we know if she still wants to have contact? Have you got the rip done?
The rip was done.
Yes, Judge, I spoke to this complainant. She's requested no contact. I think they're neighbors. They live about a mile away from each other. And then she's just requested that he's not allowed to come to her property either.
Okay. But the bad blood is, I guess, between the gentlemen as well, though.
I think it's between
Right.
both families. She explained to me that there was a argument that was started a couple months ago, just between them, and then it's kind of been ongoing since then.
All right, Mr. Duval, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Don't have contact with these people. I see there's bad blood, but it's just not worth it sitting in a box 6x9 for months on end because it's just some bad blood. Just don't go back over there. Don't have contact with them. Don't be in possession of weapons, and then everyone's happy.
One question, that is my aunt's house. So sometimes I do have to drop stuff up.
I would use someone else.
Yes, sir.
The problem is that I don't want you to go over there.
Yes, sir, I understand.
One day they're accidentally there, they start popping off to you, and then boom, you're the one that's on bond for this case. So even if they call the cops and it's not true, and they start, fibbing and saying this, the cops come out, they're going to be on you because you got the open case.
Yes, sir.
So when you get into a pissing match with people with authority, 9 times out of 10, you're just going to lose, right? So it's best to prevent all that. So that's why we do this.
Yes,
So
sir.
just don't go over there, don't have any contact, and then we're all happy.
Yes, sir.
What do you do for a living?
Construction.
Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer?
Yes.
What kind of money do you make a month?
Well, I just got back to work. I make right at 25 an hour.
If you want time, I can give you time to hire a lawyer. If you have any issues and you're unable,
I use Juan Vasquez. Juan Vasquez.
okay. Is that, you want to go hire this person?
Yeah, I will hire him. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're gonna do now,
I was told that I didn't need a lawyer because more likely this would be thrown out.
do that.
And, no, Mr. Vasquez, it says something.
I don't see how anyone can say that without,
Because
okay, don't.
I didn't.
So we got a bunch of DAs here. Everything you say is recorded. They use it, so just don't. Better to have the lawyer work on it to try to work it to your favor, but just don't say anything now because anything you say, they're gonna use it against you. So I'm gonna have you sign a reset with Ramona. We'll have you take a seat in the jury box. I'll get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it, and then after that, you'll be free to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Come on this way, sir.
Good morning, Ms. Florence. Ma'am, you were charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. Officers were dispatched to a residence in Harris County, Texas, in response to a family disturbance. The reportee stated that her brother assaulted her father, and the officer went upstairs to make contact with the brother. The officer could hear yelling inside the bedroom and instructed the brother to come out. The brother opened the door but refused to come out of the bedroom and then closed the door on the officer. The officer entered the bedroom when the defendant, the brother's wife, stepped in between the officer and the brother. The officer attempted to detain the brother for the assault investigation, but the defendant continued to step in between the two.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm not going to put any conditions on your bond. Just be careful. You know,
Sir.
it's, when you get into a pissing match with people with authority to arrest, who's gonna win? Right. Just be careful.
Yes, sir.
What do you do? How old are you, man?
30.
What do you do with yourself these days?
I'm a teacher.
You're
I'm a teacher. I work
at an elementary school, or
Goddard School of Katie.
would you like to apply for an appointed lawyer, man?
Yes.
Okay. Stephen, I'm gonna give you an application for an appointed lawyer. I'm gonna have you sign a reset with Ramona. We'll have you take a seat while we just wait and try to find your lawyer, man. Okay? Please. Yeah. Good morning, Ms. Funes. Ma'am, you were charged with assault of a family member. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. Officers were dispatched to a residence in Harris County, Texas, in response to an assault. The complainant, the defendant's mother, told the officer she was driving the defendant to work when the two began to argue about the complainant's driving. The defendant then grabbed the complainant's hair and began hitting her in the head and chest, causing pain. The officers
While driving?
While driving, yes, Judge. And the officers observed a red mark on the complainant's face.
You know, if mom wants to have contact. Ms. Funes, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I typically don't allow contact when we have this kind of situation where someone has picked up an assault against another person.
Your Honor, RIP has not been performed yet.
Okay. It appears that a protective order has been issued in this case. I would get to know it, because if you do something to violate the protective order, like go to the house listed in the protective order, have contact with someone listed in the protective order, the state can and will file a violation of a protective order against you. That is the capital murder of misdemeanors. It's one of the worst cases you can pick up, so you must be very careful. Until I know that she wants to have contact with you, I'm ordering you not to have contact with her. Do you understand? I'm also ordering you not to be in possession of weapons as well. Do you work, ma'am? What do you do? What kind of money do you make a month? Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer? I'll have you fill out an application. I need you to be honest. Please don't just put zeros. I'm going to send it right back to you. I need to know everything about you, how much money you have coming in, what kind of car you drive, if you own a house, property, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, what expenses you have. Let me take a look at it and I'll see whether you qualify. Okay? Do not leave until you sign our bond conditions though. All right?
I'd like to ask for permission to go pick up my belongings. Everything I have, everything I own is in that house.
Let's do this. Let me have you fill out the application, see whether you qualify for a lawyer. If you do, we'll have you talk with the lawyer and we'll work something out. Okay? Please. We'll come back to you and we'll work something out. Please. All right. Good morning, Mr. Garcia.
Good morning.
Sir, you were charged with assault of a family member. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On November 29th, 2024, officers responded to a call for service made on November 28th, 2024. The complainant called and stated the defendant, who she was in a dating relationship with for 2 years, was sitting outside her apartment. The officer met with the defendant before the complainant, who stated he saw the complainant talking to male friends, which made him upset. The defendant stated he approached the complainant and slapped and pushed her. The complainant stated that she was in the kitchen when the defendant suddenly became angry. The defendant approached her and slapped her on the left cheek, which caused her pain. The defendant proceeded to push her on the ground and then punched her on the left arm above her elbow area. While she was on the ground, the defendant kicked her on the left side of her body and struck her on the shin and below her knee. The defendant also struck the complainant in her abdomen, which knocked the wind out of her, and the officer observed a red and purple bruise on the complainant's arm and other redness consistent with an assault.
See if he's on probation or parole at this time, please, Alex.
I'll see, Your Honor.
Mr. Garcia, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case, and I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with this person. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I want you to understand something, Mr. Garcia, that I'm going to protect every person in this county. And if I have to take you down, dragging, kicking and screaming and putting your butt in jail to protect everyone, I'll do it in a heartbeat. If I need to make your bond $50,000, $150,000, $10 million, I'll do it in a heartbeat to protect every single person. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You are not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs, and I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using, likewise, you will go to jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. Do you understand?
And Your Honor, he's not on probation at this time.
There is a protective order that has been issued in this case. I would get to know it because you violate this protective order. The state can and will file a violation of protective order. It's one of the worst cases you can pick up. You violate conditions on a VPO, I can hold you at no bond, zero bond, and I'll do it in a heartbeat. Do you understand? We're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. So I'm going to have you first go to Ramona, sign a reset. After that, I'm going to have you go to Felicia for your bond conditions. And after that, you're free to go. Take care in my free world, because if you don't, I'm going to take it away from you.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Sir, you're charged with criminal mischief. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. Officers were dispatched to a disturbance at a residence in Harris County, Texas. The complainant, the father of the defendant, told the officers that the defendant was being aggressive toward him and other guests because he was intoxicated. The complainant advised that the defendant does not live at the house and was temporarily sleeping on the couch. The defendant began yelling at the officer and quickly approached him. The officer detained the defendant. In the living room, the officer observed damage to the wall and rug, as well as broken dishes. The damage was approximately $800.
Damage, sir? I didn't hear.
I'll check the damages. I see that he told the officer the defendant was being aggressive toward him and other guests, and the officer observed damage to the wall and rug. And let me.
Wonderful. Who did that?
There was a, sorry, I apologize. There was
It's
a
okay.
witness, I think it was the defendant's brother. So the complainant, the owner of the house, had stepped out of the house. And then while he was out, the witness, the brother, observed the defendant, break dishes and punch holes in the wall.
Okay, so you have a witness that puts him breaking the stuff.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, all right. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm now ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. I want you to understand one thing and hear me clear, Mr. Johnson, that if I make your bond $5,000 to $10,000 because you violate conditions and you don't have anyone to pony up that kind of money, you will be stuck like Chuck until this thing is over with. So consider this when you're out there in the free world, because if I find that you violate these conditions, you go back to this house, you start breaking more property, I'm going to put you in custody and I'm going to make your bond high. You understand?
Sure.
How old are you, sir? What do you do for a living?
I'm a caretaker for my brother. My brother's legally blind, so caretaker for him.
You earn money from the state for doing that.
Sure.
How much money do you earn money from the state?
It's $900 a month.
How much time does that take of your day to take care of? And how old is your brother?
Brother is 33. Takes about 4 hours, 5 hours a day.
A
Yes.
week?
A day. 4 5 hours a day. Yes, sir.
Did you want to apply for a court-appointed lawyer, sir?
Sure.
Okay. I'm absolutely serious when I mean no drugs, no alcohol. I'm telling you now, I'm going to test you like crazy. And if I find that you're using, especially while you're getting paid by the state, if I find that you're using, it's not going to go well for you. Do you understand? Take note, because heed this warning, sir. All right, I'm going to have you, Stephen's going to give you an application. I'm going to have you sign a research with Victoria. We're going to have bond conditions created for you. You will sign for these conditions and then we'll find your lawyer, sir. Come on. Oh, wait. Sorry. You're not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case. You're not to go back to this house. Do you understand?
Sir.
You're not to be in possession of any weapons as well.
I will say, Judge, I did speak to the complainant, his father. He does want to continue to have contact. He said that the defendant has apologized and he's not letting him stay there anymore, but he would like to be able to have contact with him.
You know, Mr. Johnson, there are people in this life that when they drink and when they use, they become very happy people and they're fun to hang around with. You know, they're the life of the party. They make jokes. They're great. And then there are those that when they consume, they develop horns. They are not nice. They start to be aggressive. They beat everybody up.
The devil.
If this is you, then don't use. Do you understand? Because if you cannot control yourself, because I'm going to tell you now, 90% of the people that we have, no self-control. And it gets worse when you start using. You understand? Okay. I will allow contact, but you're not to have any threatening or harassing contact with the complaining witness in this case. What is threatening or harassing doesn't matter what you think. I could give a rat's ass what you think. It's how they perceive. So if I go like this, it could be very well threatening or harassing. So if you go back home and we find that you start acting like this, I'm going to put you in custody. You understand?
Say something.
Sure. I don't want to talk about the case. I'm just giving you the expectation of how we are going to move forward. That's it. I just be nice. It's not hard. And if consuming makes you devilish, done. Got it?